You know, I've actually been to Viking many times. I always drop in there on the way to Camrose whenever I go to Big Valley Jamboree, and I have on occasion seen Daryl Sutter ripping around town in his Corvette. You know, that's it's definitely a sight that it's definitely a sight that turns your head. And speaking of things that turn your head, I mean, Millie Alcock definitely turns your head. Bit of an unfortunate name, but very pretty girl, and she's actually going to be playing Supergirl in the new Supergirl movie. And wow, God, is there ever a lot of conflict over that one? You know, there are a lot of fans that are not terribly happy with what they're expecting out of this Supergirl movie. And I got to say that I'm not actually a Supergirl fan, I suppose, so maybe I don't really count so much. But I am actually looking forward to this movie, strangely enough. I mean, because I'm not at all a Superman fan. I'm not at all a Supergirl fan. You know, these characters in particular, I really, I can't relate to them because there's no stakes in any of these. Like, there's no personal stakes for those characters. You know, they have every power, they're invincible, they're not interesting. For the most part, they are just not interesting. But James Gunn has managed to figure out how to do something with Supergirl that is actually quite a natural thing, in my opinion, and that actually makes her very interesting to me. And that is that, you know, instead of making her like this perfect woman of tomorrow character that we've seen in the comic books so often, you know, he's actually kind of leaned into, I think, that what you would naturally expect out of anybody that age, you know, who just went through something as, you know, as catastrophic as the as the loss of their entire planet, you know, managed to somehow survive that. You know, that would be an incredibly traumatic experience. So a lot of people, I think, they seem to not like what they're seeing in terms of Supergirl with this, you know, this drunken party girl type character that they're putting up on the screen. But to me, like, substance abuse as a coping mechanism, that just fits what this character has. It just fits what this character has experienced. For me, it definitely succeeds in making what they're putting on screen a lot more interesting. I mean, Jason Momoa as Lobo. I mean, I don't know. You can kind of take it or leave it. I kind of feel like I could as easily leave it as take it. Mm, I mean, I guess if they're rebooting this entire DC extended universe or whatever they want to call it, then I guess it probably isn't that big a deal that he was already Aquaman. But you know, I mean, like, whatever. I mean, I, as a non-fan, I'm definitely in disagreement with a lot of the with what a lot of these you know, actual fans have adopted. And I guess as a non-fan, I guess that's pretty easy. And I guess one thing that I would say that has probably made it pretty easy for a lot of these actual fans to not like Millie Alcock very much is just the fact that, you know, she's spitting out this same tired narrative that we have seen so much, where they have this playbook where they seem to think that they're going to succeed in this, they're going to succeed in marketing this film by attacking the fans. It's absolutely never ever worked out. And so she's sitting here and she's telling everybody that, you know, the fans are just upset because she's a girl. Makes no fucking sense. If you're a Supergirl fan, why would you be upset that the actress is a girl? That's fucking stupid. Like, that's dumb. Like, that is so, like, that is so dumb. That is so fucking stupid. I think that I probably cooked a good couple hundred brain cells just sitting here and even recounting that to you. That's how imbecilic, you know, that is. That's, yeah. Best of luck to you succeeding with a Supergirl movie if you antagonize all of the Supergirl Superman fans. You know, just whoever it is that's giving them the advice to do this, or at least not giving them the advice to not doing it, probably just should be fired. Like, that's just unbelievable. Because the fact is that whether or not you agree with it, and once again, I mean, like, as a non-fan, I think that maybe my opinion probably should carry limited weight. But regardless of whether or not you like it, the simple fact of the matter is that the fans of a particular franchise, the people who have supported that, people who have carried it forward, made it profitable with their money that they spend on it, those people do have a right to have a certain expectation of a particular franchise. It sounds like this Supergirl movie is not going to meet the expectations of a lot of these fans. Like I said, I have a different perspective on it than they do, I suppose. But that doesn't make them wrong. And I definitely don't think that Millie Alcock has done anything whatsoever to help this movie succeed by attacking that fan base the way that she did. There need to be some grown-ups in the room to explain that to these people, because they don't seem to ever learn from experience. I mean, look at what happened with Captain Marvel. Something that I would consider to be a promising enough franchise that's now just ashes because Brie Larson couldn't stop saying stupid things and antagonizing the fans. And ironically enough, I mean, well, geez, I don't know if ironic is actually the proper word for it, but Brie Larson actually does seem like she's learned her lesson. She was tremendously well behaved for the marketing of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. She was a tremendous asset to the marketing of that film, and she did a fantastic job in her role in that film. And while I would suggest that it probably was, a fairly long road back from Brie Larson from like the just, what she did to herself with all of that crap she spun around the Captain Marvel franchise. She, at the very least, she had the benefit of being like a known, like being like being like a known commodity in Hollywood. Millie Alcock, I've never heard of her before. And I kind of have a feeling that maybe after this film, there's a good chance that maybe I'm never going to hear from her again. And that might be a shame. Because like I kicked off this segment talking about, like, I'm very interested in what they're doing with this character. If this movie is as good as I have a suspicion that it's going to be, I know that I would definitely like to see more of it. But are they going to draw enough fans to actually be able to justify making another one? Well, I guess we'll see that when the box office numbers hit. But if the buzz that I'm hearing online is at all accurate, it kind of seems like the answer is probably not terribly likely. Because if you go to theaters with like a Superman adjacent film and you've antagonized all of the Superman fans, well, I kind of feel like that was a pretty big portion of the audience that you needed to have. Bashing them is probably not the best way to get them. I don't know. That seems simple enough to me.